Okay. All right. Let me. So, all of you know over the last 15 years that my group, we don't tell people what to buy. We never tell people what to buy. We've all made a pact that if we're going to recommend someone buy something, it's not going to be on our quote group pages. Okay. I wouldn't give a recommendation or a non-recommendation, like say when I had the Laren Von Baron page with millions of subscribers, because that's influence peddling, and I don't believe in it. Okay, you all know over the last 15 years that I tell people what not to buy because I speak the absolute truth about what a product is and who the company is. Fanatec, okay, if you go to YouTube and you look for any negative information about Fanatec, who is absolutely, I mean, their own forums are chock full of people literally screaming at Fanatec about their customer service being the worst in the world. The worst in the world. Shipping broken products, not shipping people's shit for 90 days, customer service unable to be contacted, phone numbers that are actually disconnected with a full mailbox, this kind of thing. Just a horrible company, Fanatec, okay? But I have all their products. I have that sim rig there. I have this sim rig right here. I have a full Fanatec set upstairs because I understand that the company's fucked and not the product, okay? The items that I've received from Fanatec that were broken, I believe that was just to fill an order, and they're going to make you, because that's just a time killer. They're going to ship you this item. They shipped it late. It took 91 days to get here. When it got here, it was broken. You know why? First off, they didn't like my videos talking about them on YouTube. Why? Because you see my face. I don't hide my face. I'm not ashamed of my opinions, okay? I'm not ashamed of my voice, period. The frame that I got from RSeat, I did extended videos on that because the frame was shit. And I spent a lot of time, effort, and money making my plat flat. Okay, the plat that was there was tilted like this. It was absolutely horrible quality control. Horrible. And I will never, ever, ever recommend anyone buy an RSeat S1. But I don't spend all day yelling at them. I don't have a shitload of YouTube videos talking about how fucked up RSeat is, because it was an isolated incident. Why? Because this product that I have over here is perfectly fine. So, having recently deleted 6,000 videos, there was quite a few in there about Fanatec. I don't use the other pages because, well, this is the one that I prefer using right now for personal reasons. But that's not an excuse for not telling the truth about products and items. Let me look at this here. Okay. In the latest video, in the Monroe live series, engineers Antonio Denuno and Julian Atis worked the aforementioned battery pack out of a Hummer EV. These are people that are tearing down a Hummer EV battery pack. The two were quick to point out that the removal itself was not an easy process. Not an easy process. Made more difficult by the weight of the battery pack. Okay? Because almost all other manufacturers, their battery packs, the cradle is made from aluminum, and these guys are made entirely from stamped steel. Why? Cheap. It's cheap. It's cheap. That's interesting how that says that. I just saw 3,500 laser projected in spot welds, which is my 3,500 laser projector. This is an intentional lack of information on the seller's part because people didn't know what they were buying. People didn't know what they were buying. Why? Well, no one told them. No one told them the truth about that product. How companies behave for money. Honestly, Amazon is a very rarely the best place to buy graphics card. More so, the supply chain and GPU mining crisis. You will often find better offers elsewhere, and you're also more likely to find an old graphics card being sold for ridiculously high prices within the often murky realms of its sellers. How does that serve any consumer? When they're hiding information, screwing you behind your back, okay? The only reason Amazon survives is its mass. It's mass, okay? These are all examples of companies that they really don't, they don't give a shit about you as a customer. They don't give a shit about you as a customer. Period. And recently, I've had an experience with AWOL Vision that has shown me how companies should behave. There's a lot of companies out there that could take a lesson from AWOL Vision, where customer service is a priority for them. It doesn't matter. This, I've done a few videos now about the AWOL 3500. That's a $5,400 projector. It has little quirks. It has things that I think are just fucking stupid. Like they have an eARC channel, which they want you to run to your amplifier. There goes an HDMI port, simply for audio. It has a digital audio out, but it sucks. It sucks with my Blu-ray player, but it's okay with my PlayStation. There's no rhyme or reason why the digital audio is so fucked up on my Sony player, period. I don't understand it. I simply don't understand it. I may just run a coax from the projector to my, I may just an AV connector, a single AV connector from my box to my audio unit. And just whenever I'm watching a movie on my Blu-ray player, just use that. But there's only 3 HDMI ports, and one of them is supposedly a dedicated eARC. And why have a digital audio output, period, if it's going to suck, if it's not going to have any power, and all the defects that I'm seeing, okay? But listen, that's software. It's not something bent or broken like this thing. It's just software. I've already been told by AWOL engineer they're going to send me a new box. I'd send him a letter saying, where do you want me to return this one? I would send this one back to the engineer and have him look at it. But really, there's nothing in here that really needs to be looked at. All I'm going to get is a box with the newest update, probably that they haven't pushed out to the public yet. But it's really weird. I'll have all these weird defects, and it's because of HDMI cord problems. And that shouldn't exist in today's world. In today's world, okay, 2.0 HDMI should not exist, period. That went out in what? In 2011, I think, that was basically considered obsolete then, when 1.4 came out. I can understand if there's an issue because when you put it in now this projector originally was not a 3D projector. And to make it 3D, I understood what happened. They had to split that into 2 1080p signals. And that's why they have that port the way it is, the 2.0. And I can understand that, but it's not in the fucking manual. It's not in an owner's manual. The owner's manual doesn't mention one time that when you put a USB device in the back, you have to transfer that data to the internal memory. Well, I didn't do that because there was nothing in the owner's manual, which is basically lacking in every way. There's nothing in that owner's manual to give you any help about what you should do and why. That you need to transfer that to the internal memory for it to work right. Well, this is what I found out when I plugged it into the back of the box. It froze up. It just simply froze up. And so I couldn't transfer any data. The weird artifacts that I was getting across there, which looks like little zigzaggy lines, geometric shapes, and that's supposedly all related to HDMI inputs. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So I have 3 HDMI ports, and one is supposedly your dedicated audio channel with eARC. Wait a minute. I have a PlayStation 5, Blu-ray, Sony Blu-ray player, okay, DirecTV box, right, and a Roku player. That's the minimum that people are going to have. A minimum is 4. So you all remember I started trying switches. Well, I bought 3 switches, all of them over $80. Nothing cheap, okay? And none of them worked. The box would not respond. Why? Well, if it is working with switches, there's nothing in the fucking owner's manual that tells you how and why you need to use a switch, so you're not restricted to 2 HDMI ports on a $5,400 unit. Now, Samsung overcame this with their televisions by giving us a box that had inputs. It had 4 HDMI inputs and an eARC, and it had a Cat6 connection. It had a lot of stuff, right? But every one of those ports worked with switches. I could hook up on my last port, on port number 4. I had a 4-port switch, and it would automatically switch to whichever one I turned on, as long as I didn't have 2 devices on at the same time. That switch worked perfectly. And that is a TV that came out in 2015 and had none of the issues that I'm having here. Yet, I wouldn't buy any other projector other than an AWOL. I can tell you right now. The performance of this box far exceeds any projector I looked at. I did 2 years of research. You guys know me. I'm the most picky son of a bitch on the planet. I can be a real motherfucker when it comes to making purchases, especially when they're like $5,000, okay? I'm extremely picky about it. When I start having issues and shit on I would have had in the owner's manual, if you experience this problem with a picture showing the issue, if you're experiencing this problem, this is what you do. Why? Because I was already sent a letter by the engineer that showed me they've had previous instances of that type of effect happening to other customers. I'm never the only person that it's happening to. Yet I would not buy another projector other than the AWOL. Just like I wouldn't buy another SimSeat from the company that screwed me on this unit. Because the customer service at AWOL is, as far as I'm concerned, is top notch. I kind of pissed Steve off a little bit because I think I emailed him too many times showing him faults and stuff. And it's not his job, it's the engineer's job. The engineer got back to me the very next day, okay, and told me we're going to send you a new box with the latest update, And I'm sitting there startled going, wow, holy shit, these guys are on top of it. And that's what is important. You all know that. When you purchase something that costs this much, you expect customer service. And when you have an unexpected problem, okay, you shouldn't have to contact the president of the company or whatever, you know what I mean? You should be able to talk to somebody in customer service that has experienced these issues, knows exactly what to tell you, and explain it to you in a way so that you understand and you're not confused. You're not confused by statements that aren't exactly true. There's nothing worse than a statement that's half correct, because that will lead you down so many false trails, okay? But again, I wouldn't buy another one because the customer service, it's already told me that they're going to continue to update the software because this is all software problems. The thing they can't do right now is give you another HDMI port or 2. So they're going to have to, in the manual, in the owner's manual, I could go over it right now with you. I could pull it up and show you. There's so little information about things that I consider absolutely necessary in that owner's manual. I don't know who wrote it or who put it together, okay? But it's so simplistic. It's like they're not expecting you to have any issues when there obviously is issues, okay? You obviously have dedicated ports they want you to use for something specific. And if you said that when you're trying to sell the projector, okay, look, it's only got 2 HDMI ports. After you hook up your Blu-ray player so you can actually hear the sound, okay, of your Blu-ray player, because the digital audio is absolutely terrible, well, that's not a selling point, is it? To say you got 2 HDMI ports in this modern era. I need 3 right here on this system. I need 3. I don't understand the decision to do that. So there should be a HDMI switches. And here's your recommendation. Well, they recommend that you get the Amazon Fire Stick. That's what comes in the box. Because obviously, AWOL Vision made a deal with Amazon to sell their boxes at Amazon. And this is what comes with the AWOL Vision when you buy it, which I believe the Amazon Fire Stick is inferior to the Roku Pro. The remote is inferior to the Roku Pro. Okay? The Roku Pro, that's the number one unit, period, is Roku. It's not Amazon Fire Stick. So the company made a deal that I think is a bad business choice. Fix the owner's manual, fix the software problem so that I am told, okay, number one port is hidden in the back of the box with a space cut out for an Amazon Fire Stick. What? What if I want to use a Roku or some other streaming device? Are you telling me that nothing's going to work but an Amazon Fire Stick? Because that's all it says. It doesn't even, I mean, everything is related to the Amazon Fire Stick in port number one. So there are absolutely positively issues with this projector that I do not agree with, but quality and customer service, that has nothing to do with it. It's all software. Software can be fixed with a download. Super easy. See? Whereas this, I had to actually manufacture a wedge, an aluminum wedge, okay, with an adjustment nut so that I could raise my wedge up and down to get my platen flat. So that my my Elite could sit on there level where my steering wheel is not cocked off to the side like that all the time. Where you're driving with your wheel tilted like this to go straight. So anyway, I'm waiting to hear back from the engineer. I asked him, where do you want me to send this box? I haven't heard back from him. I sent him another picture of something that was a defect where if I'm playing a Blu-ray player and I leave, if I open the tray up and I put a new movie in and I close it, everything has gone back to nothing. It turns off the 3D. You have to go back and reset everything again. Pain in the ass. That needs to be fixed. Okay. I turned off my Blu-ray player while this was still running because I was going to switch over to my satellite dish. And when I turned it off, I got this in crazy, flashing, red, distorted. It looked like a screenshot of the last thing that it had on the Blu-ray player. And then I just had this crazy shit going on the screen. This was not a static artifact sitting there. This was something totally different. And I've already asked Anir, have you seen this kind of failure before? Initially, I thought it was a hardware issue, but after the engineer telling me, nope, we've seen this before, then I know that they know what to expect. They know that it's happening, and they'll be addressing it. Simple as that. You see, that is called the truth. That's called the truth. All these other companies that I mentioned, they're going to lie to you. They're going to lie to you intentionally to make a sale. This is just shit that they're trying to sort out. Has nothing to do with taking advantage of you in any way, okay? The company is rock solid, and that's why I went with AWOL Vision. It's why I went with the 3500. It's why I took 2 years of research before I purchased one. The only drawback is the limited HDMI ports and some software things that they're going to fix. That's it. That owner's manual, that should be complete. This is how you transfer memory. Nothing in the box about transferring memory. Nothing. I didn't even know you had to transfer the memory because the book says plug in your USB device and have a nice time. No, that's not true. There's actually something you have to do, and it is not covered in the owner's manual. So that's, for me, again, is unacceptable. You all know how picky I am, okay? But I'm going to give you the truth 100%. I'm not going to tell you the issues and problems the box has and then tell you that I wouldn't own one, because that is not the truth. I wouldn't own any projector but the AWOL Vision 3500. That's the difference, is because I want to tell 100% the truth. If I'm going to say buy this box, I need to know every single defect that's wrong with it. I need to know every benefit that's in the box. I need to know how the customer is treated by customer service. I need to know the truth before I tell people and open my mouth. You all know that. How many products have I endorsed in 15 years? What, 3? 4? In 15 years? Maybe 4? I don't do that. You all know that. I don't use this page for selling or giving, reviews on products. I just don't do it. This is my psychological, exercise page. This is where I get to rant and rave and get it all out, turn it into electromagnetic energy and send it into the universe. It's my therapy page, okay? So for me to recommend something like this that obviously has some issues, okay? You understand I'm telling you the truth. Whereas you know that other major corporations and companies selling expensive items are going to lie to you intentionally. Hummers are not cheap. Hummers aren't cheap. And then you go in there and this thing is put together with spot welds. This is why Elon Musk got the giant mold machine, so he could injection mold aluminum, eliminate all of those points. Because what's going to happen 15 years from now, a lot of those joints are going to rip and tear. If you're going to take your rig off road and you're going to get this when you're going down a bumpy road. I grew up with a truck like that out at my grandpa's, driving on dirt roads. The thing squeaked like it was, full of mice. So anyway, I had to get that off my chest today. Because I had a couple of people, I had people from the lab and some sim racers over here experiencing the projector. And they were like, well, fuck, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? I couldn't answer any of their questions. They said, well, how do you transfer the data? If it's going to lock up and you do that, how much data can you insert in the back? Do you have to stay under the box's recommended, under the storage that the box has in order to plug a USB device? Do you have to match that memory so that the box doesn't freeze up? There's nothing in the owner's manual about that. I found that out myself. I started deleting file after file after file after file after file until I put that USB port in the back and the box did not freeze up. The truth, 100% the truth. And if you don't think other projectors and stuff don't have issues and problems, okay, you're wrong. They do. That's why it took me 2 years, and that's why I decided on this unit. The plus with this unit that I didn't expect was the amazing customer service. Also, what I didn't expect was just 3 HDMI ports. I didn't look at the back of the box. And that's not advertised. I didn't know that, okay, this is a dedicated eARC channel and they want you to use that for eARC so that you can have Dolby and I didn't know that. And it's not explained in the owner's manual, the Y4s. See, it's important. Had I had an owner's manual that was 100% complete, explained the defects, what to do, why it happened, if I had all this information at my disposal, I would have never, ever had to make more than one phone call. Instead, I'm constantly taking pictures of defects going, is this new? Is this normal? This is HDMI port 1. This is HDMI port 2. This is HDMI port 3. All 3 ports displaying the same defects. Well, that's not what I heard from the engineers. It was just about one channel. I had the defects in HDMI port 1, HDMI port 2, HDMI port 3 with my PlayStation, my satellite box, my Roku player. The only one that really didn't exhibit it in a large degree was my Sony Blu-ray player, and that's also the one that the digital audio, the optical audio, doesn't work. The volume is extremely low. I had my amplifier cranked up to double what I would normally listen to. But again, see, that's the truth. Had it been in the owner's manual, it wouldn't have been a depressing shock on a $5,400 projector. It would have been information I would have went, oh, okay, well, I can live with it. I'll just have to wait until it's fixed, because this is the actual truth again. When those defects show up, I simply go to a new HDMI input on the remote. I click my source. That switches over to number 3. And I hear my amplifier go click as it's changing audio channel. And then I go back to the offending port. And guess what? All the defects are gone. That's software. Not a hardware problem. It's software. That will be addressed. They will fix it. I'll guarantee you they will fix it. Steve is absolutely dedicated to make every customer happy. And that's just an amazing feeling, okay? He's always made me feel like he's going to take care of me. And tell me how important that is to you. Okay? That is number 1, right? Okay? Having the security of a company that wants to make you a happy customer, there's no topping that. So again, if you're going to buy a projector, I can only recommend the AWOL. I can only recommend the AWOL because, again, I did 2 years of research. I looked at every customer service issue and problem with all the major providers from BenQ all the way up to AWOL Vision, or from AWOL Vision all the way to, you know what I mean? in alphabetical order. And I had some very bad reports about some of the other projector companies in the same price point, $5,000, okay? People that were like, yeah, they didn't get back to me for 2 fucking weeks, et cetera, et cetera. And these guys, I get phone calls from one of the head guys at AWOL. I get emails directly from the engineer for AWOL. Come on, you can't beat that.